Putin is the president of Russia, a country with more than enough nuclear warheads to destroy Earth in less than 24 hours. In the last several years, Putin patiently pleaded and negotiated with the US and its Western allies to give Russia a break. But instead, heeding Putin's request, the US and allies aim to convert Ukraine to become a NATO member, so they can park their missiles with nuclear warheads besides Russia. Now Putin is attacking Ukraine. Missiles are flying. Russian tanks entering Ukraine territory. Then Putin told Ukrainian soldiers to lay down their arms and go home. And he told the world that whoever meddles or threatens Russia will be dealt with a swift response they never experienced in history before. Joe Biden and his friends froze. They have underestimated Putin big time. They are now explaining in chorus that no NATO forces are inside Ukraine, that their troops' movement near Russia are for defensive purposes only. Ukraine will now be on its own to defend themselves. The US and allies are turning their backs on them with their tails between their legs. Russia will take on Ukraine with no help coming from NATO. The war will end very soon before summer begins. So what happened? The US and allies got greedy. They become so comfortable invading countries and killing people in their own terms. There was no credible opposition. They went from Iraq, to Iran, to Libya, to Syria, to Afghanistan and many more weak countries sowing chaos. They stole lands, oil fields and plundered the wealth of smaller nations. The US and allies got addicted in terrorizing countries, installing puppet governments and putting up businesses that will suck dry the resources of host countries. They finance rebellion, supply arms and war equipment and enjoyed watching one country killing its own people. Ukraine was just another project for the US and allies. They put a puppet government. They supply arms to kill separatists. And just lately, they thought Ukraine is ripe to become a new base to expand and terrorize the area near Russia. Now the big bear is angry and attacking full swing, all its fangs and long claws ready to strike any moment. Putin said that Russia is now ready for all the consequences. Bring it on. Joe Biden's bluff has been called. Putin is putting his chips all in. If this is the end of the world, so be it. The ball is now in the court of US and NATO. So far, Joe Biden's knees are still shaking. With one false move, Russia might let go of its biggest warheads heading to Washington. Biden is now busy finding a good excuse not to confront Russia militarily. Poor Ukraine. The US and its allies needs to sit this war out and observe from the sidelines. They can't be responsible for the world always. And besides, Russia never did intervene with US wars in the Middle East and other countries as well. The Philippines must watch and learn from this situation. The US and its Western gangster are not trustworthy allies. They run faster than a rabbit when a real tough guy stand up and willing to fight to the death. The Philippines must wisely vote not to elect a US puppet president, or we will end up like Ukraine. Fooled, raped, milked and now abandoned. This is what your president did. Let's pray for Ukraine.